morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to be taking a look at whether Pokemon just broke the expanded format. Or to put it another way, the next card that I am absolutely 100% convinced is definitely going to be banned. And if they sound a little bit clickbaity titles, don't know which one I actually went with at this stage, could have gone either of them. No, because they're true. The thing is, a couple of days ago I showed you Scoop Up Net. And I talked about what a good card it was and how great it is, and it is a great card. But I've been thinking about it more and more, and I've been talking to a few people about it. And although it's a good card in the standard format, I'm 99% sure it's going to be banned and expanded, because I think it actually breaks the expanded format. I think it does stuff to the expanded format that we're not ready for. Let me explain. So the item card as a whole basically says that you may pick up any one of your Pokemon as long as it is not a GX or Pokemon V. Cool. And we talked in the video, I'll link it in the description, but we talked about the fact that it basically acts as a switch, or it heals a Pokemon, or it lets you reuse a coming into play ability, Mewtwo from Unbroken Bonds, for instance. Okay, so it's quite nice in that regard. It's a very, very good card. The problem is, it's another one of those cards that does not specify EX. And we've seen a couple of these. These cards being printed nowadays are printed specifically saying Pokemon V and Pokemon GX. Like we talked about Twin Energy the other day. It's a double colorless energy, unless it's attached to a Pokemon GX or a Pokemon V, which means with an EX like Seismitoad, it's just another double colorless energy. And the problem is, we've now basically got a way to pick up these Pokemon just as is. There's no longer flipping heads on Super Scoop Up, or having to play an Ace Roller as our only supporter for the turn when the Pokemon's damaged. No, just pick them up. Now, it's not going to work for anything. I mentioned Seismitoad a moment ago. The problem is that Seismitoad needs double colorless energy. And there's an argument that it doesn't matter that much. You can play 4 double colorless and 4 twin energy plus a bunch of special charge, and yeah, you've probably got all the double colorless energy you need. But having said that, you've still got to put all those cards in your deck and find them at the appropriate time, and it's just getting a little bit awkward. However, what about Wailord? You see, Wailord, phenomenal card, great blocking Pokemon. And we got a whole bunch of cards in Expanded that you can use to heal your Wailord. We've still got Max Potion, we've still got Ace Roller, etc. And we've still got stuff like Pal Pad and Versus Seeker to reuse Ace Roller. The problem is, sooner or later you're going to run out of stuff. And you're going to end up using stuff like Cynthia and Caitlyn to try and recover, and slowing yourself down to the point it's just not really going to work anymore. And remember, we no longer have Lieutenant Surge's strategy in Expanded, so there's no 2 supporters in one turn. And sure, you can use Super Scoop Up, but you gotta flip aheads. And sure, you can use Max Potion, but we also banned Puzzle of Time in Expanded, so there will be no using it over and over again. So now we got 4 more cards. And I'm not arguing that Wailord Stall is the best deck in Expanded. It's not seeing as much play as it used to. But the thing is, we're not just talking about what we can do with the decks we've got, we're talking about decks in future. As HPs start going up and up and up and up and up, being able to heal these Pokemon is going to be amazing. But really, we're talking coming into play abilities, and really we're talking Shaman. I cannot believe for a second that Shaman was intended to be used with this card. Shaman has got an ability set up. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may draw cards until you have 6 cards in your hand. Oh. Yeah, that's pretty gosh darn good. You see, now, when you draw into a Scoop Up Net, that Scoop Up Net becomes an item card that lets you draw until you have 6 cards in your hand. Bearing in mind, the closest analogy we've got to this in an actual item card is Bicycle, that lets you draw until you've got 4 cards in your hand. And we all play Cynthia as a really good draw card. Shuffle your hand into your deck, draw 6. We don't play Judge as a draw card, we play it as a disruption card, and that's shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 4. There's a gigantic difference. And it's not just for drawing extra cards, we'll get back to that in a second, but remember that Shaman EX is 110 HP 2-prize liability. You want it off your board. Well, if you want it off your board, you've basically got 3 options. Flip Super Scoop Up's head, play Ace Roller after it's damaged, or use the Sky Return attack for 2 colourless energy to do 30 damage and put it back into your hand. Well, now we've got another option, a significantly better option. And that better option is just play Scoop Up Net. And now it's no longer a liability. As a side note, this also works beautifully with Jirachi EX. When you play it down, you get to grab a supporter card from your deck and put it into your hand. So now, essentially, Scoop Up Net becomes search your deck for any supporter card and put it in your hand. We don't get those cards. We get cards like Poker Gear that let you look at the top 7 cards of your deck and find a supporter card there and put it into your hand, or Random Receiver that lets you take the next supporter card which is in your deck. We don't get item cards that let us search for supporters. You could use something like Skylar, you can use a supporter to search for a supporter, but we don't have item cards that do this. And yes, I know there's an obvious counter-argument here, and the obvious counter-argument is, ha ha ha, Wassy, but that only works when you've got a Jirachi on the bench, or you've got a Shaman on your bench. True, but that's really not that big an issue. A lot of expanded decks are playing Shaman. A lot of expanded decks are playing either Tapu Lele or Jirachi, and Scoop Up Net makes me want to go play Jirachi. Although it's a fun little side note, Jirachi is searchable with Level Ball. Just putting that out there. And okay, it's only got 90 HP and it gives up 2 prizes, but just get it off the field with Scoop Up Net. They're done. And that's kind of the thing here. You're healing them up, you're getting them out of harm's way, but you're also reusing the coming into play ability. I mean, if we had an item card that read, draw until you've got 6 cards in your hand, or search your deck for any supporter card and put it into your hand, that would be hands down a 4 of in every single deck. Unless you're a hard both sides item locking deck, and even then you might still. It would be a 4 in every deck. That's essentially what this becomes. And now we have to think, well, hang on a second, what might the format look like when this is legal and expanded? Well, simple. You bench a Shaman. And then you draw a bunch of cards, one of which might be a Scoop Up Net. So you play Scoop Up Net and pick up Shaman and play it down again. And then you draw another one and you just keep going. And at some point you bench a Jirachi or reuse a Jirachi. And you end up playing a supporter card like Professor Sycamore. And then you discard your hand and draw 7. You're going to get everything you need. You are going to get everything you need set up straight away. Let's say you're playing something like a Trevenant deck. Now, Trevenant's extremely relevant because Trevenant only item locks one side. Trevenant doesn't item lock you. Trevenant only item locks your opponent. So what you do is you play Trevenant down. Your opponent is item locked. You're not item locked. And for Trevenant to really work, you need a bunch of stuff. You need your stage 1 and you need your energy and all of that, but that's all going to become an awful lot easier with this. You're just not going to whiff the things that you need. And that's the real relevance of this. It makes every deck significantly faster and more consistent. And maybe that's an argument against banning it. Maybe we go, well, hang on a second, if every deck is getting way better because of this card, why don't we just keep it? Maybe. But that's not where we've been trending. If you look at something like Shaman, you draw until you got 6 cards in your hand. The modern equivalent of Shaman is Dedenne, which is limited to once during your turn. Oh. I mean, to really explain quite how nuts this can be, in the unlimited format where basically everything is legal, one of the interactions we see a lot is the Yuxi with the same ability as Shaman, albeit 1 more card. You bench it, and then you draw until you got 7 cards in hand. and Scoop Up. Now, Scoop Up was a weird little card that we got back in the base set, and basically what it allowed you to do was pick up a basic Pokemon and discard all cards attached to it. So you would pick up your basic Uxie, play it back down again, and round we go. Well, now we've got that ridiculous unlimited thing in the standard format. Oh. And that's kind of where we're going with this. This cannot be the way this was intended to work. Play the biggest EX you can think of, 250 HP, and heal it up for free. Oh. Reuse Shaman, reuse Jirachi. Speed decks and Expanded are about to get a whole bunch better, although there is a counter-argument here that maybe that just leads to more item lock, more Trevenant, more Seismitoad, more Vileplume, because actually, if we're going a little bit over the top here with speed using items, maybe we can item lock, and that will actually save us a little bit. Maybe that could work. But be clear, this card has changed the Expanded format immeasurably, and I feel very confident this card's going to end up being banned. This will lead to some people finding this ridiculously fast disruptive combo and then going, ha ha ha, I've won before you've had a chance to really do anything. And that's when cards get banned. There we go. Alrighty then, that's what I think about it. We didn't really cover this very much in the Scoop Up Net reveal video because it was just too much for one video. But I feel like, well, kind of needed to be done now, didn't it? So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Things are getting tricky, I think it's fair to say. But I'd like to know your theory on all of this. Do you think it's as good as I think it is? Do you think it's going to end up getting banned? Or do you think we're all overreacting just a little bit? Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where you can find out about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but we love them nonetheless. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.